Hi, this is Summer with Summer's Tips and Teaching, and in this video, I'm going to talk about my classroom library. Over the years, I have organized it in different ways and gone through all this rigmarole, and in part, it's because the education system changes. Yeah, I know. So when I first started teaching, the Lexile was the way that you would record the kids' reading levels, and then you could organize books based on Lexile numbers, and the kid would go and choose a book, and if their reading level was between 450 and 850, then they would choose a book in that range. And that worked really well, and all of us teachers went around organizing all of our classroom libraries based on reading level numbers. Then it honestly was a decade for me, but because I was a stay-at-home mom for a number of years before I came back. And then I came into the school, and they were, or same school I might add, they were now going off of Fountas and Pinnell. Fountas and Pinnell was a reading set, and they organized these books based off of the alphabet. You know, typically a kindergartner will come in A, B, or C, and then by the time they're in second grade, somebody who's reading at grade level should be a J, and they should finish an L or an M. So then you go and you get all these books and you check the reading levels. There's actually some really cool apps, and I'll see if I can put a link in the description. I don't know how to link apps, but I can put the name of the one I used to use. And you can, let's see if I can find a good book. Of course, I choose one that doesn't have it. You can scan these barcodes with this app using your phone, and it will tell you the Fountas and Pinnell, which this is an M, or it will tell you the Lexile. I think it tells you the DRA, the Lexile, and the Fountas and Pinnell. And so then everybody was running around organizing our books based off the Fountas and Pinnell. Well, I just didn't like doing that because good many times, like I was trying to show you here, this book has no barcode, so then you have to type in the title, or if it's too old, it's not recorded, or if it's too new, or if it is a private publishing company. So it sometimes got a little tricky, and then you'd have these bins of NR, not rated, or not recorded. I couldn't find the label. And after really just struggling, and then one year I had my daughter help me, and if she couldn't find it, she made it up. She sure did. What a treat that was. So I was doing some research, I want to say it was 2 years ago online, and I'll see if I can find that original video that talked about not organizing your library, your classroom library, by Lexile, Fountas and Pinnell, or DRA, not organizing the books by the level, but organizing them on the content. Now, if I remember, because it has been a while since I watched that video, there's a lot of reasons that it can, I don't want to say be harmful, because that's a little dramatic, but it is not as helpful to the student to be having, this being all the books that are book J, because here are the reasons. Number one, some kids obviously are reading at a lower reading level than the rest of their kids, the class. That's just the way life is. And so there is some social emotional issues with going to the lower bins, to go to the bins on the other side, to go to the A bins, because I've had second graders come in at B's or C's. And so there is some of that stigma that they're going to the lower side of the shelf to choose a book, and it makes them feel bad. Okay, so that's one. Number two, many times kids might want to read a book on let's say they really love, I can't think of, gymnastics, okay? And let's say I have some books in my classroom library, because a lot of times they have these nonfiction interview books with like Simon Biles or all those people, and they want to read that book because they love gymnastics, but they're at a J reading level and this book is at an M. So now they won't even look at it. And so what this gal was saying is that kids can learn to read and learn to grow and learn to challenge themselves and learn to practice their reading so that they can read what they want. And so restraining them by saying you can only read books that are J's but there's some really interesting books that they want to read at L or M, doesn't necessarily help them. Now, you may say, well, if they can't read the book, what are they learning? So the classroom library for me is not necessarily a specific learning tool. It's not part of reading groups. It's not part of my reading curriculum. That is where I'm teaching them to read with the phonics and the reading and all of that. We do that in reading groups and we do that whole group. These are for them to enjoy. And I just think if they're willing to stretch themselves, if they're willing to try, look at the pictures, read the captions, learn to read using the other tools they have that we're trying to teach them to help them understand a harder text during the free reading time, that's exactly what I think they should do. So I think for kids that are interested in reading on a certain topic or a certain thing like dinosaurs or early America, and they're really interested in that and many of the books are too hard, they can still go to that bin, look at those books, read those books, try to use the context clues, try to use their sounding out tools, try to use some of those other strategies on their own because they want to. Okay, so that was enough to convince me to organize my classroom library by subject. Now, my son did this for me and he's a dear lad, but he just shoved it up here, so I have to reorganize it. So for example, I have all books about animals, nonfiction and fiction mixed up. I know, isn't that crazy? And so I actually have 4 bins of animal books, and usually I just put them all at the top. I have books about early America, about colonization, about presidents, because second grade we talk about the expansion from when Europeans came over to America and settled. That's the time in history we talk about. I have books about seasons, again, fiction and nonfiction. There'll be books in here that actually talk, that are nonfiction about seasons, but then also I'll have a storybook about seasons, so all seasons. And so that is how I've organized my library. And then of course I organize these better. I also put them in color order. I know, but I really think that I've had the best success in general with this theme. This will be my 3rd year going off of having my books organized. Now, here are the benefits. Number 1, when my daughter's helping, it's a lot easier. She's just not making up random letters and throwing it in there. She knows that if it's a story about a porcupine, she puts it in there. Number 2, it also helps with the kids for putting books away. Believe it or not, I would have letters all different places. And so here they usually know that if they're reading a dinosaur book, it goes in the dinosaur bin. Plus, a lot of times, they'll just take the whole dinosaur bin for free reading time, and they'll just bring that bin to their desk, and they'll read all the dinosaur books that they want. Plus, it keeps them from getting back and forth and going to the library, because some kids do that when they really struggle with reading, and they don't like sitting and reading. They'll just come get that bin of dinosaur books, and now they've got, 30 books to look at during reading time, which I'm gonna be honest, it's only 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Okay, so those are the real reasons that I love this. I love this system. I don't know if you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves about this big all the way down, and I have 2 sections. Now, I also do my chapter books that way. I organize them by, not necessarily content, but authors. So all the Owl Diary books are together. All the Dogman books are together. All the Junie B. Jones books together. All the Captain Underpants books. And so that's how I organize them. They're in baskets on a different shelf. I'm thinking about trying to get them in here. So then these are all the books no matter what. And so I just really wanted to recommend this because I know I've seen a lot of people talk in group chats on message boards. How can I organize my classroom? And this is the way that I like the best. I bought many of these bins at Target for $5 each, I believe. And then I inherited some of these taller blue ones from a different teacher. And as you can see, even if you just look right here, this set right here, look at that. This one's taller than this one's shorter, that one's taller. I've just had to let that go and organize them. Now, the one last thing I was going to tell you that is a little bit of a fuss for me. Sometimes I have a hard time organizing the books that I can't find a category for. So this book here, Dear Juno, it's just about a little boy reading and writing letters, right? And so I have a generic section of fiction. I thought about doing it like books about people, but sometimes there's characters in a book that aren't exactly people. They're like, you know, like Arthur the Hedgehog guy. He acts as a person. He wears clothes, he goes to school, he's in a home. And so, yeah, so I will put a generic category of fiction. These are usually the books that I just can't find a category for, or let's say, for example, I have 3 unicorn books. I know. And so then I had 3 unicorn books and 2 fairy books. And that was 5 books. And I just didn't have enough of these to only have one for 5 books. So then I just throw it in the fiction. And so then I do have a set. I obviously have to go through here because I was just looking at this and I have the ugly duckling in this. And I'm like, that's clearly an animal. So I'm going to have to go through all these and reorganize them. But yeah, like for instance, this is a book. Looks like little monkey characters, but they're doing human type things. They're acting as humans. So I just put them in the fiction. I also have grouped all my magic school buses in one. Those are science related also. I have holiday books, Christmas books, Thanksgiving books. Those are separate. I also have a whole lot of Berenstain Bear books or little critter books. So those ones I group. Yeah, and then these ones here, these I can read by myself. I just have a bin of these called early readers. Whether they're 1, 2, 3, or 4, I just have 2 bins of early readers. And that is how I organize those. So I thought maybe I would try to pull back so you can get kind of a little bit better of an idea of what the classroom library looks like. And yeah, that is how I organize it. I hope that you understand those. I'll try to find the links or at least the name to the app that I use that helps me scan my book. So if I know it's Lexile number, DRA number, or Fontes and Pinnell letter. Then also I can find a link in the description. I'm going to see if I can find that lady, that video. Now, granted, I watched it a couple years ago, but I'll search around and find that gal that talked about why organizing your classroom library based on content is good for the students' reading and social emotional health. So yeah, I really love that. All right, so that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching and subscribing. Thanks for liking and sharing my videos. And I'll see you soon. Bye.